All right, good morning, everyone. Welcome to the SSA 21 Commission meeting.
Good morning.
So we have some some guests this morning. So first, I'll go around and we'll introduce ourselves as we're recording our first SSA Commission meeting virtually. My name is Rudy Flores, the Executive Director of the Lincoln Square Ravenswood Chamber of Commerce, which we are the sole service provider for SSA number 21-2016 Lincoln Square. And today we have Karen Forte. If you want to say.
Hi, I'm not a guest. You all have been in your meetings before. Karen Forte from the city of Chicago, just here to more so learn because you all are like the best SSA ever. So just listening and John, why are you shaking your head? It's true. It is so true. Go ahead.
Thank you. Jason, you just joined us. This meeting is being recorded. It's a new requirement from the state. So we're just going around to introduce everybody who's on the call. We also have, we'll start with Scott Friedland, who's not a commissioner, but a representative of the community.
Yeah, hi, I'm Scott Friedland. I'm the owner of Timeless Toys in Lincoln Square, and I'm the president of the Lincoln Square Ravenswood Chamber of Commerce for like another week or so.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I love Timeless Toys. Okay, sorry.
And let's move over to our chairwoman of the SSA, Milena.
Hello, Milena Press from Akasha Development, and I am a commissioner and chair of SSA 21.
Wonderful.
Hi, Milena.
Hello, Karen.
Anthony, you're just joining us. I'm going to go straight to you. We are recording this meeting. It's a new requirement from the state. So just having everybody introduce in case someone were to watch this video afterwards. So if you want to just introduce yourself, Anthony.
Sure. Anthony Kayyum, SSA Commissioner. My business is Merz Apothecary on Lincoln Avenue.
Awesome. John, we'll switch it over to you.
John Ratzenberger, Commissioner, Gateway to Learning.
And then Jason.
Jason Kraus, SSA Commissioner, local resident, and head of construction for a company that owns some apartment buildings in the area.
We'll move it over to Ben.
Ben Monroe, SSA Commissioner, Davis Theater, and Carbon Arc Bar and Board.
And Nick, who is on the phone here.
Nicholas Yasan, Ranny Management, SSA Commissioner, manage and taking care of the neighborhood as best I can.
Awesome. Thank you, everybody. And we have a full attendance today. Which I did not ask for a motion to start the meeting, so I apologize. It's 9:07. Can someone make a motion?
Motion.
Thank you. All in favor? I got Ben and Anthony.
Okay.
And then is there any public input? Our public would be Karen this morning and Scott. Wonderful. We'll move on. So I sent you all the attachments yesterday evening. Sorry it was so delayed. But I'm going to share my screen to show you the minutes from our last meeting. So give me 1 second. And now you should be able to see these. Hopefully, can everybody see my screen?
Woohoo! Yes.
Awesome.
Yep.
All right. So in our last meeting, we had Milena, Jason, and John present, and then Scott and myself. In that meeting, we went over our financials, and we had received almost $250,000 of our $265,000 expected in our tax levies. We received our TIF rebate at that time. And then we had spent about $183,000 out of a budget of $297,000 to spend. In that meeting as well, as we approved our health and sanitation rebate applications. We had 13 that were sent, but only 11 were actually complete applications. And so those were approved. And then we also did some budget revisions, which are all listed in the minutes from moving around some funds for the Ainsley Arts Plaza that we are doing through Make Way for People and CDOT, the public mural that is on the street there. We had to increase that by $1,000. We did some moving around of the streetscape elements for the planters to move them around. And then we extended the farmer's market by a month. And so we put money for the market manager in that. And then we budgeted $1,000, no more than $1,000 for the Zoom subscription and the Log Me In remote computer subscription, which is how we can work remotely and so connect to all of our computers, and that's a shared expense with the Chamber of Commerce. Any questions regarding that? Can I get a motion to approve the minutes?
A motion to approve the minutes.
Can I get a second?
Seconded. Second.
Thank you. All right, moving on to our financials. So we're looking at the year end of 2020 financials this morning. And so it's going to look a little bit different. This is the overview, and I'll show you the P&L in a second. But I just wanted to make sure that you guys are aware. I was really trying to ensure that we were going to only be spending money that we were receiving. With the pandemic, we obviously weren't sure how much of the tax levies we would receive if people might not be able to pay their property taxes. So right here, it just shows you our late collections and interests in the first line item, followed by the 2019 levies that we received. Uncategorized, there's one installment that we received in the beginning of March that I don't have record for. And this is something I need to reach out to Karen about because it's prior to the pandemic. So I never received the letter in the mail that would show what this tax amount is for. So it's either for 2019, which is what I'm assuming, or it could be a combination of 2019 and late collections. But overall, we received $250,848.67. The carryover funds, we had budgeted at $32,500. Our TIF rebate, $3,400 for total income of $286,748. Our budgeted total income was $297,582, which that means we were short by $10,833.33. So we'll go through all the expenses in detail, but you can see we have a budget category here on the screen, followed by expenditures, followed by what will be remaining in each budget category. So there was $21,118.40 in the budget that we didn't spend, but our total income received minus our expenses made says that now we have a $10,285 carryover. So that's taking into consideration this shortfall of $10,833. So I hope that makes sense. It was just this is a way for me to make sure that we're following our budget, but we're also cutting where needed based on what tax levies we're receiving. And hopefully we won't see too much of a drop this year in our tax levies, but I'll be watching it very closely since most of the taxes we'll start receiving are from 2020, and they should start coming in at the end of February. So in our bank accounts at the end of the year, we had $19,214.56. So that's the balance sheet. And then our profit and loss detail, I'm going to move your screens over just so you can see it. So this is the uncategorized from March 13th. Estimated late collections and interest is $29.97. 2016 property tax dollars refunded $16.96. 2017 levy dollars refunded $658.82. 2018 is levies collected $4,934.97. 2019 tax levies collected, scrolling down, $240,939.22. Our total income is $250,848.67. Any questions in that before I go into expenses? You guys all have this spreadsheet as well. Customer attraction, some of the changes from our last meeting. Special events would have just been that farmer's market payment. Holiday decorations, that was our huge expense. Obviously, we spent a lot of money on putting those up. And then we got all of our wreaths that we pre-ordered in the beginning of 2020. So we got a discount, I think, of like 12%. And then we had to pay the remainder amount before they were delivered and installed. So we spent last year $31,418 on all of our holiday decorations. Our storage fees, this is just for both our storage units that has the parklet as well as the holiday decorations. And then one payment, which will be for 2021 when we do our audit, that'll be recategorized. And public relations, we spent a total of $18,000. That's a shared expense with the chamber. Any questions for customer attraction? Moving on to landscaping. So we have some voided checks here. And this is because Patch Landscaping was not receiving our payments via check. And I'm assuming this is because the post office issue. If you might have seen you might have seen some articles on the 60660 zip code, which is the one I live in, where mail wasn't being delivered for multiple weeks at a time. So this is why you're seeing that, but the payments were eventually received later on when they got their acts together. So and then we also have our winter planter installation, which is all the winter greens that are now covered in snow. So we spent $46,900 on that. This category here, public art, is the street mural that we put on the block of Lincoln Avenue between Gunnison and Ainsley. Sidewalk maintenance. You'll see a change here where we dip down to only a one-day service from Clean Street, who closed their business and no longer providing services. Clean Slate is the one that picked up their contract, and we'll be going to RFP. I'm sorry, in RFQ right now for a litter abatement contract, and we'll talk about that shortly. So we spent $27,850 plus one payment that was made in January of this year. So this comes out to, I think, about $31,000, $31,500, I think. And then snow removal, they have us paid always in advance for some strange reason, but we have made all 5 payments because that 5th payment was made in this year. But this is our contract going through April 15th. And that's it for public way aesthetics. Any questions? We will be ending our snow removal contract after this season. So that will be another contract that we will be going to bid for, and we'll talk about that as well.
Can you remind me again, what is the area of coverage for snow removal?
We only provide snow removal in Giddings Plaza in the areas that aren't adjacent to the properties of like the building that Cafe Sal Marie is in and the building that Jerry's is in.
Okay, thank you.
And we have not had snow removal service as an SSA for nearly a decade. So that's also a question I continue to get asked, but it's not something that a lot of SSAs I think are doing as much anymore, but we'll talk about that too. This is the Ainsley Arts Plaza. It was just in the parklet section, but it should be, it's 3.07 now in our budget. So we have provide all the materials that you see over there. So the seating areas, the landscaped planter boxes, the poles for the lighting are in our office. They have not been installed yet. The entry pylons, all of that good stuff. So that is where all these different expenses are. There's a storage shed that will be able to keep event materials in, flexible seating, things of that nature. So this is just part of that expenditure. We'll be finishing that up hopefully in March or April, depending on weather. We are currently waiting on our reimbursement funds, and we'll talk about that through the OSIF funding shortly. Any questions regarding this section? Then we have economic business development, section 4. This is our master plan. We spent $22,400 for the Lincoln Square North Corridor plan, as well as the Ainsley Arts Plaza. So it was just billing for all of that. So that was the hosting of meetings, the surveys for the community, the design and the permitting. Some exciting news, but about a future project on Lincoln Avenue. They're working on trying to get a streetscape project up there, so more details to come, hopefully in the next couple of months from the Alderman's office, but it's really exciting to know that our efforts of really trying to revitalize the Lincoln Avenue North Corridor, as well as our master plan and working with TESCA, are leading to really great conversations about revitalizing that area. Any questions for section 4? Section 5 is safety programs, and this is where we moved a lot of our facade rebate, our security rebate, to do a COVID health and sanitation rebates. And so this was all what was approved in our last meeting. So the payments went out the beginning of December. And so we spent $8,984.96 on various businesses throughout our area. Everybody who applied for a PPE of full $500 all did receive that. And then there was percentages based on the other two, tiers 2 and 3, which were like permanent changes to your business structure. But everybody.
Rudy.
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah. Do I see Rosa Cato is on there? She did send Rosa.
Right here.
Great. Okay. Thank you. Okay. Good.
Any questions on this? And then the rest is our management fees, which would go into our QuickBooks bookkeeping, our office rent contribution, these all stay the same every month, our utilities, our supplies, just a monthly contribution. The subscriptions is the one I said will be a little different just because we did the shared expense with the LogMeIn and the Zoom account that we're on currently. And then insurance contributions, so totals out to $15,000 or $15,087.88. And then the personnel contributions per month. So our total expenses are $276,463. Any questions?
No.
Rudy, I have a question about the COVID-related expenses.
Yep.
I didn't ask in time. Has there been any discussion on another round of those applications or anything for any ongoing related expenses as we continue down this COVID path? Are there funds there for that, or have we had any discussion about that?
We do have in our 2021 budget $10,000 budgeted in that category again.
So will it be a similar application process?
It does need to be tweaked a little bit because I think that based on a couple of people not completing required pieces and then having to go back and ask for those, there's a little bit of confusion, but we can have a conversation on what the needs are now versus what those needs were then. It also, we'll have to go back through our 2021 budget in our next meeting to just move around some funds based on the carryover and just a couple of other tweaks since our budgets are submitted to the Department of Planning in May and July. And so, now that we're more than 6 months past that time period, we always do a little bit of adjustment in the beginning of the year. So that'll be in our next meeting.
Okay.
So it's a great thing though to think about, everybody, for the next meeting on what we might want to use those COVID related items for. Any other questions regarding financials? Would someone like to make a motion to approve these?
Motion.
Second.
Any opposed? Thank you, guys. All right, so then we're going to move on to here. Where am I going? Commissioner meeting training. I'm going to stop sharing for a second. So you all would have received, I assume, I also sent it to you. My apologies, but I did not see it beforehand. There's a commission meeting training with DPD for all commissioners and staff. And so, yes, most of you have already taken this before, but things do change and they would like you to be on it. There are 2 options, and they're specific to each of the department's liaisons. So Karen being one of the liaisons, our liaison. And so there's 2 options at February 18th or February 25th at 10 a.m. They're virtual. So, you know, you can just log in. You can just log in from wherever you are. You don't have to necessarily be on video, but you can also ask questions if you would like. So I will be on the one for February 18th. So if you haven't emailed Jennifer, Mac, I'm going to say
Magallanes.
Thank you. Please do so today if you can choose one of those days. In the agenda, you'll find her email address. You can just click on it, it's linked. Or I also sent an email last night that was high priority that you can also register for that. And it should not hopefully take an hour and a half. They just booked that in the system.
Right.
And if you need to obviously leave early, you can, but we would like you to be on it if you can. So I appreciate that. I know Milena and Nick, you are both on another SSA too. So you guys, I assume, have more options. Is that, can they only attend one of them, Karen? They don't need to attend both, I would assume.
What do you mean? So I missed a little bit of that. So
their
each one of us,
Their
yeah.
occupation is on an SSA that's not yours.
Okay, yeah, so to keep stuff really short and brief, we changed things up. Of course, it's not anything like when you guys came downtown. So there are only 2 liaisons now, myself and Onita. And so we decided to split it up to make it kind of fast. We're also going to allow questions during the agenda instead of Q&A at the end, because a lot of people just want to know stuff that maybe they forgot or didn't know. And then that way you get your answers while we're on that particular subject. We are asking old and new to attend because it is ever changing downtown, especially during this time. And if you need to jump off the call or you just want to hear it, that's fine too. But yeah, yes, you can attend if you're on multiple SSAs, because Onita's are at a different day, and I think hers are at like 2 o'clock in the afternoon, then that's fine too. Jennifer just needs to know when you're coming, because we're of course doing this by Zoom. We thought we were doing Teams, but it's being switched, of course, to Zoom now.
Awesome. So if you guys have any questions, please just let me know. Thank you, Karen. And then the next update I just wanted to give is, so since Clean Street, like I said earlier, is no longer providing litter removal services, Clean Slate picked up their contracts, and so we went to bid. The RFQ is located on our website in our request for proposal page of the SSA. And then hopefully, so the closing is for submissions is February 25th, so that we may have time to review them. And so it's pretty much the same type of services that we currently offer is Monday and Friday litter removal, with Wednesdays added during the busier months from June through September. I've been in contact with both ward offices to find out what their streets and sanitation schedules are, because trash receptacle pickup always is an issue, and it continues to be even during the pandemic and the warmer months. And so we do pick up trash receptacles on Saturdays, and then we do pick up on Monday and Fridays on Rockwell at the L, and we'll do that at the Ainsley Arts Plaza. But I just want to ensure that if there's a need somewhere, we know about it. And so what I've been told is that streets and sanitation is supposed to pick up almost every day, but if they get pulled for another call or something, then the trash cans don't get picked up, and so that becomes the problem. So we're going to work with the information we have now, and hopefully whoever we decide as our service provider will be able to adjust. So that's where we stand with that. Any questions about litter? Great. And then Ainsley Arts Plaza. So you've probably seen some work started, right? We had to put pause on it. So we have the agreement for Make Way for People, CDOT's program, to construct, and that's why we started constructing is the painting. We've also applied for the OSIF funding. It's the Open Space Impact Fee, and that's through the Department of Planning and Development. And so we were awarded that as of 2 weeks ago. And so we were supposed to have gone through that whole process back in October and November, but it has to go to City Council for approval, and it kept getting pushed out of council because of the budget hearings and stuff with the mayor's office and council. And so it got pushed until now. And so we put a hold because we don't have all the SSA funds in order to pay for it. It's a reimbursement. And so how it's structured is once we get the final agreement, we've had the draft, but once we have the final, we'll sign it and they can start getting reimbursed for the expenses we've made. How it works is that and I'm hoping this will make sense to everybody, the SSA is paying the chamber to make the expenses. The chamber is spending the money, invoicing the SSA for those expenses, and then the chamber will then be reimbursed from the OSIF funds. All that reimbursed money from the OSIF funds will be in its own line item category that will be used for our next initiative, which we had said would be the CTA Plaza and under the L for the Lincoln Square Master Plan. So it's the money will be held by the chamber, but it'll be used for the SSA study, if that makes sense. Because the SSA can't take in tax money, or can't take in money, can only take in tax money. And so we'll be utilizing all this money that we've been using for the Ainsley Arts Plaza just to do our next initiative. And so I've already met with the 47th Ward office and the alderman to talk about those next steps. And so hopefully we can begin starting to look at the CTA Plaza and under the L as we have for the Lincoln Avenue North corridors area, hopefully by late spring, early summer. And so that was one of the top priorities in our master plan that the community wanted us to look at. So any questions about that?
No.
You know, like the timeline of like how quickly we get the funds, or do we know?
I would say like based on this, if it's similar to the system that we use for our contract with the Department of Business Affairs, it's called e-procurement. It's relatively quick. It's usually within 3 to 4 weeks of once you submit your documentation that you can start to receive it. It's just direct deposited. So since we're finally having a real winter in Chicago, I can't imagine we can do any work anyways until everything's not solid. But we have some of the stuff here in the office, like the lighting and all that kind of stuff. We just can't put it up until the weather changes for us. But we do want to do an unveiling and a press event and stuff like that. But it will be completed before the warmer weather. Awesome. And then we'll move on to new business. What we need to vote on today is the commissioner calendar. So you all have received that. I'm going to share my screen just so we can get a vote. Here we go. Okay. So today's meeting is the first one. I'd like to request that we have a meeting on Tuesday, March 2nd at 9 a.m. This would be to go over the 2021 budget revisions that might be needed at that time. We'll also started to receive our tax levy based on if it's similar to previous years, that we start to receive those in the end of this month. And then we'll have our litter abatement RFQ submissions to review. So the next meeting I'd like to present would be Thursday, April 22nd at 9 a.m. This would be for our 2020 audit review. In addition, street pole banners, we were supposed to have done that last year and we paused that spending because of the pandemic, but they are desperately needed to be replaced. We have nearly 200 banners in our service area. And so we did get some quotes last year and then put them on hold. So we'll reach out to those providers again. But my goal would be to discuss any like things we might want to put in the street banner poll, street poll banner RFQ, and then gives us time to send it out to providers and then review them at that meeting on the 22nd, with the hopes to have them all up by June. And we'll go over anything of our reporting from Q1. And then Thursday, May 25th, I'd like to do an evening meeting if this is okay with people. I think it's good to be able to have the flexibility or for different people, public, if they want to come to it. The reason I chose this meeting at 5 p.m. is that it's our 2022 draft work plan and budget review, which is due to Miss Karen Forte here the week after. And so if any of the public really has interest in seeing what the budget is and how much goes into it, and feedback on any type of expenditures or categories that they'd like to see funded, I just think it would give them a good opportunity to weigh in. Obviously,
couple questions, Rudy.
Yeah.
I think, is the 25th a Tuesday, or am I looking at my calendar incorrectly? So
I might have just copied and pasted and not wrote the right thing. So hold on one second. Oh, yeah, Tuesday. Yes, Tuesday. I wanted to get it further away from Memorial Day weekend in case anybody's going away. So thank you for that.
Okay. The other question is, and I just want to throw this out there as a seed to be planted, is that, and you kind of reference it on the banners, I find as a business owner, I guess I would say, I see going around the city. Of course, I'll sponsor a banner or more because you just do that and it's advertising, but I don't think it's really effective advertising viewed as an advertising investment. And so many times when I go around the city to different neighborhoods, I see banners that just like, they're hard to read and they don't really have much impact, or they don't look that good often. Like they're just kind of, I don't think that they're well thought out from an aesthetic standpoint. And so I would like to suggest that we perhaps, given the amount of art we've been putting up, we start thinking about a banner that might be almost more aesthetic oriented than advertising oriented, given that I don't know anyone who's ever said, well, I stopped in because I saw your name on the bottom of a vinyl banner somewhere. Like, it's not an advertisement. And so we should look at it as beautification or even artistic improvement, aesthetic improvement in the neighborhood, and do something that is maybe a little more out of the box as far as banners go.
Yeah, and so that's in our next part of the agenda. I want to talk about the RFQs and RFPs. So yes, the banners by city ordinance are not allowed to have a business logo that's more than a quarter of the banner size itself. And so that is why it's so small. And from my experience, there's some businesses that you're like, your logo is not going to work on the banner, so we can do text or something so that way it's, people can actually see what it is. And some people just don't want to do that. But it's not, it really shouldn't be looked at as like necessarily advertising your business. It's actually helping to reduce the cost of the banner on the taxpayer. And so when we did our banner program before, it was 100% chamber funded. It was not funded by the SSA whatsoever because our SSA was smaller then. And so this time we did allocate money from the SSA to help contribute to the banner cost, but there's still more cost to the banners than just what the SSA can provide just because of labor. And so that's where the supplemental costs will come in from businesses if they so choose to pay. And if they don't, I think that there will be a good mix where we'll be able to achieve the results that we're looking for. But overall, I agree with you too that the banner should be, that's my personal opinion, is they should be more about branding the community and not branding the organization.
Yeah, and I guess I would just say even the ones often that I see that are supposed to be about branding the community, I wish I took more pictures because I look and I'm like, I don't know that it's effective or makes me want to go visit. Like it's not as appealing as I think it should be. Yeah. So I just want to make sure I don't have a problem that you can't, that my business isn't more highly represented, more just, I want to make sure it does something that makes the community stand out.
Yeah, so what I would suggest to the group is also, like, now that you know we're going to be doing this, if you're, wherever you're at in the city, if you see a banner that you like, take a picture of it. When we did our banner program last time, we did have a committee that looked at different submissions from graphic designers on what to choose, and they went with that one. That was back when Ryan Worsing was with us, and he facilitated that committee. And so we also could do it by corridor. I've seen that some neighborhoods do that, where like Lincoln North can have a certain banner, and then Lawrence Avenue a different one. Also, our banners are a little smaller than they need to be, so they can be a little bit larger, and so I want to ensure that that's a possibility. So yeah, those are really good points. Thank you for bringing that up. So
what was the, I guess on the first round of banners, what was the impact that the businesses had as far as reducing cost from the taxpayer?
Well, if the banners we have currently were not funded by the SSA whatsoever, it was just the chamber, because our SSA budget back then was like $135,000. And so didn't have the money for it, but businesses paid about half of the cost of the banners. But we had to go through and do all brand new hardware for the entire area, which is extremely expensive. The vinyl is much cheaper. So we won't have to do that this time around. So the price will be a lot lower than it was back then.
Yeah, because I would be interested from the chamber standpoint to see what businesses would even be interested in redoing it. Because I'm kind of on the same page as Anthony of, yeah, they're great. They make the community look good, and they're kind of, we can make them fun. But from an advertising standpoint, we've already had a lot of hard time getting, from the chamber standpoint of getting advertising and sponsorship dollars coming in, especially due to cut budgets for 2020. So I'd be concerned to see how many, to see how many people would be interested in participating in that in 2021, 2022.
So it is a shared expense, and the chamber will put money towards it. And so that the money the chamber puts towards it is the money that the chamber can raise from the businesses. The chamber has within its membership benefits that, based on the level of your membership, so if you're like a top tiered member, you automatically get, I think, one included with your membership payment. And so that membership part of your payment as a member goes towards that banner, for instance.
That makes sense.
Yeah, so we'll obviously go into all that more detail when we start to formulate what that process will look like with the SSA and the chamber. Any other questions about banners at the moment? So, okay, then we'll have another meeting, which is required. This has to be during this week, Tuesday, July 13th, 9 a.m. So that will be the final budget approval from the draft that we did the prior meeting, because Karen will receive information updates from the county and send it to us so we can ensure that our budget is reflected appropriately based on what the county thinks our tax levy collections will be. And then on Thursday, August 26th, so before Labor Day, I'd like to do another meeting, and this will be to go over the snow removal submission. So in the summertime, we'll create an RFQ to look at snow removal needs. And I'll talk a little bit more about that in detail momentarily. And then in Thursday, October 21st, we'll go over landscaping for starting in 2022. So we'll also do some quotes on that. And that is it. Does this calendar look appropriate for the time being?
Yes.
So is that a motion to approve it, Anthony?
Motion.
Second.
Any opposed? Awesome. So I'm taking my notes. All right, I can stop sharing this. And then the last piece is our agenda. Now I can see everybody, is just the RFQs and RFPs. So I'm gonna start with Ansley Arts Plaza. So there will be a need for a few more artists. And so this kind of ties in also with the banners. So one of the pieces of the Ainsley Arts Plaza that has not been approved yet is the triangular landscaped area that is between Western and Lincoln and north of that Ainsley. And so this is interesting, but the city of Chicago.
Hey, Rudy.
Oh, yes.
I'm sorry. Is that what was formerly like the Rose Garden?
Yes, correct. Yep.
Okay,
So that area we've always maintained in terms of like litter removal or making sure that it's weeded and stuff like that. But we haven't done really any major plantings in it yet. But we, in part of our Ainsley Arts Plaza proposal, is to do re-landscaping with that, right? So it matches, you know, with the whole new improvement of the street, which seems like it'll be fine, but there's no agreement with the city on whose property that is. And so is it CDOT's property or is it the city of Chicago's property? And so they have to go through law department in order to create some agreement. And so I was informed that it would take a couple of months. And so the goal is by hopefully March, we have that agreement. Then we can then apply to expand our Make Way for People agreement in order to include that as part of the Ainsley Arts Plaza. With that, we had in our proposals had fencing along the Western Avenue side of that. And the purpose of that was like, you know, there's lots of kids that are playing in that section now. And so Western Avenue being such a high traffic street, to create a barrier so that if a kid, you know, does get away from their parents, they don't dart out into traffic. And so with that, it's really pretty rendering of like 6-foot wood panels, but every other 6 feet would be an art banner installation that kind of like mesh see-through. And so we would need an artist to do that. At the same time, you also want to brand the, when I say brand, like create a logo for the Ainsley Arts Plaza. There are 2 street poles on the west side of Lincoln adjacent to the McDonald's that have banners. We like to do 2 large banners there that say Ainsley Arts Plaza. And so that would be an RFP that we would need for artists. And so with that, also thinking we could do an RFP for artists for the banners themselves as well. So kind of what I would like to ask you all is, do you want to see one banner for the whole community like we currently have beyond the Ainsley Arts Plaza? Or do you think it would be nice to see banners for different corridors? So Lawrence Avenue, North Lincoln, Western, and Montrose. Lincoln Avenue south of Lawrence doesn't have banners because the poles don't allow for them to be put up.
I think it would probably depend on the design where I would fall on that question, because I think it could probably be that you could make an argument either way that they would be good. But I think that it would be nice to tie it together as one community in some way. So even if they were separate versions, I think it would be nice if we had like the sort of master version and then, you know, that so that there was a clear connection. I don't know that like just random different banners per area makes as much sense to me.
So what about like, so if you said ties together, could it be, so I got a thumbs up from John, would you think that changing of colors during certain areas might be something? Or the reason I ask, I guess, is just I want the details so that I can like create an RFP to, you know,
yeah,
out there.
I mean, that would be one thing that I would suggest, you know, creating of colors, or maybe there's I'm a much better art director than I am an artist, so I don't want to like just make suggestions that are specific, but I think that, you know, it could be colors. Obviously, it could be that there's some sort of like header and footer that's the same that makes it recognizable, and then there's, you know, the color is the same, but then there's some general image. You know, all of that would depend on what we come up with that we like. So it's like hard to get specific about that without seeing some options in my mind. But I think that's something it would, like I would probably ask someone to explore both or pick what they think, because maybe I'm wrong and maybe like 4 separate awesome banners would be amazing. But I think that we'd at least ask them to come up with, keep in mind that we might want something that ties them together, whether that's color or imagery.
I also feel that we have an opportunity to kind of tie in the artwork that exists in the community. So, we have this brand new, beautiful Ainsley Art Plaza. If we can tie in, like that north part into the same artwork that's on the plaza, it kind of gives a uniform feel across, and kind of almost extends that plaza as far as the aesthetics of it. And maybe, south of Lincoln, you either extend that, or whatever artwork is going to be put into the CTA Plaza, right? You can use that artwork too, and kind of extend those fun areas beyond the specific section of that neighborhood or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I think that's interesting. I was going to say that I kind of almost look at it and say, maybe this, well, let me ask a question first. Rudy, do we have a sense of, in an ideal world, I know we haven't replaced our banners very often, how often would we anticipate these would be replaced going forward?
So our previous banners, I have stood up much longer. Typically it's 2 or 3 years they need to be taken down, but these have lasted, I think we're at least on 4 years now. But that's, so like some neighborhoods like Edgewater, they had the same banners for as long as I've lived there, for 8 years. And they just replace them when they tear. So you can just do it that way, or you can change the look and feel all the time, or you can, I think like Lakeview East, they do banners for the holiday season. They do banners for summertime. Like they're always changing them out. So
okay,
the options, we have the options. It just depends on how much money you want to spend over time.
Gotcha. I think the where I was going to go with this is that rather than, well, I love the idea of bringing art into the banners, but I would say that trying to fit a mural and make it recognizable on a banner is like, they were designed as murals, not as banners. And also, like, I look at it as we have an opportunity to showcase more art rather than the same art. And so my suggestion would be like, why don't we consider opening it up, like at least having a designer design a banner where there's the large portion of the banner could be art, and maybe that a piece of art is the thing that represents a different corridor, or like a few of them alternated represent one corridor. And so you kind of have this theme going where the banner looks familiar, but you're going to see new art throughout the neighborhood. And I don't know, I'm just like, I'm inspired right now by the amount of young people making amazing art on devices like iPads and the things you can do. So I feel like this might be an opportunity, whereas like a mural, obviously you need to be an artist who is practiced at materials, etc. Like you're not going to have a 14-year-old probably paint the side of a building, but here we have an opportunity to open up the art to working artists, but also to aspiring artists, and we just choose with the arts, with the arts committee, the ones that we want. And it's gonna, I don't know, I'm like thinking about, I'm inspired on this personally because I'm trying to think in this pandemic, like, how do I get my teenage girls feeling like they're a part of this neighborhood? So I'm not saying it for them. I don't know if they'd want to do it, but my point is, like, we need to get more young people more involved in our community, and we all know that. And this seems like a way that, like, how cool would that be to have, like, potentially 20 different kids or something like that be able to tell their friends, like, that's my art up on the street that everyone sees every day. Like, that could be seriously powerful. So I don't know, that's something I like.
So a couple of things I had not mentioned that I'm sorry I didn't think about. So
yeah.
I put in our chat box the Paintworks link that shows what we've already done so far because of the Paintworks program of the murals and stuff. So I can try to get people to see what we've done. I did apply for a grant through the Department of Cultural Affairs and Special Events. It's called the Artist Response Program. And so they're giving grants out to artists, but also they're giving grants out to 3 to 5 organizations in the amounts of $50,000 to $100,000 as a re-granting program. So for instance, if we're awarded, we would then be able to hire artists, give them a grant to do artwork. So I applied for the Lincoln Avenue North corridor, since that will be the Lincoln Avenue North Arts District, and through our Paintworks program. And so the SSA can't apply, the chamber has to apply as the 501c6. But hopefully we have a good chance because of all the work we've done. And so the Paintworks, I updated the webpage to be more comprehensive on what we're doing and what our goals are. And so goes kind of to what you're saying about being able to include more people, because the grants can then be from anywhere from $1,000 to $10,000 per artist. And so that'd be a collaboration between the SSA and the Chamber and Arts Committee. Also, through our farmers market, we're working on doing a Friends of the Farmers Market as a fundraiser to help pay for our market manager. And one of the things that we want to do is for youth artists is to do a contest to be able to select a couple artists to have bags done with their artwork for the market. So, and we specifically want that to be for under 18. There might be age categories just to be able to get more of a connection with the younger generation.
Cool. I love that idea, and I really like the idea of being able to, pay artists for their work. I just think that if we're doing it banner specific, we'd want to make sure that that's, rather than like we're choosing artists and doing it, I kind of feel like it should be a mixture. It'd be really cool, and we don't have to have any sort of set percentage of what we do, but making sure that people who don't necessarily think of themselves as working artists applying for murals can be like, if I submit something and it gets chosen, I could get $1,000 grant. And that they're designing specifically for that size and format that we want, because I think that will make it more likely to get something that really we feel is great,
Yeah, I think that's great. And we have one other thing that came to mind too, is that we have so many great kids art centers here in the neighborhood. I wonder if there's some way to kind of pull them in and partner with them to help run the competition, or spread the word, or whatever it is. There's so many great organizations right here in Lincoln Square that work with young artists, so could be a good opportunity.
Yeah, that's how we did our parade of Abe's. The parking meters. That was through the One River School students, and we do send out all of our artist information to all art-related businesses within the area too. Awesome. Anything else on that for now? This is helpful for me to start creating something. Okay, and so what I'd ask you is to take notes on snow removal, because that will be something that we'll talk about in the summer. And so you might not remember the snowstorms now. We haven't obviously had a big snowstorm in a while. And so when we do have them is when people start to ask why aren't all sidewalks being shoveled and stuff like that? And it is very expensive. So one of the things I've been talking about with other SSAs is the threshold of the larger snowfalls providing snow removal service. So at 4 inches or 5 inches, that's when we do a supplemental service on top of what already businesses / property owners are responsible for, just to ensure that sidewalks are clear. Something to think about. And then obviously we have to add the Ainsley Arts Plaza in for next year. Or next season, I should say. So that would be something else. So just take notes or try to remember however you best do that. Landscaping as well. I think we have personally a really good service provider at reasonable cost, but if there's anything that you've seen that needs attention, or as we go into warmer months, I'll remind you, but take notes for that. And then our auditors in the last year of their contract for this year, and so next year we'll also have to get another quotes for that. Doesn't mean it's changed, but we have to go through that process again. And that's all I think I have. Is I don't know if there's anything else that you have that you might want to add to goals for next year. We will go over the 2021 budget again for revisions next meeting. So we can talk about it then, but I don't know if there's anything that you guys have on your mind that you've seen over the last couple of weeks or months.
I do just have one quick question about the Ainsley thingamabobber.
Yeah.
In the budget, is there an allowance for some sort of sign to be created that tags brands SSA 21? I couldn't remember if that was a part of that whole build out.
We did not. We've never talked about actually doing that part, but we do want to put, have somebody design a logo. So then perhaps then that should be included. The logo of the SSA, like we do for our bike racks.
Yeah, if you guys thought it would be valuable, a brought to you by or something like that, or even just, in addition to it being painted on any of the built furniture.
Yeah.
Small, not big, but just a, tag. Yeah,
all of the planter boxes, the big squares with the poles right now, they all will be painted. We want to put some logos on them. So yeah, I'll add that to that. Thank you. That's a good suggestion.
Perfect.
Anything else? We're right on time.
Rudy,
Oh yeah.
the three-sided signboards, I think that you're referring to, those are
A little bit. We can't hear you.
oh boy, sorry.
There.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
The three-sided boards that we fabricated, those will have like temporary marketing, right? Because I know those we didn't finish due to weather, but that's going to be like basically like chalkboards, like big chalkboards, right? I think.
Yeah. Yep, that is correct. So that's where the last of the RFPs will be for the plaza and hopefully be completed by sometime this spring. All right, well, if there's anything else? All right, well, our next meeting then will be on Tuesday, March 2nd at 9 a.m. and we will hopefully have submissions for litter removal. I sent out reminders to the businesses or to the companies that offer it this morning. So thank you all. Milena, can you hold on for just 1 second? You have 1 second afterwards? Okay, cool. That's it. Thank you, Karen, for being here with us today. And I hope
Thank you. It was a great meet. Where's John at? It was a great meeting still. He's gone. All right.
Thanks, everybody.
John. Okay.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. I'll talk to you later, Rudy.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.